of the leading causes of depression in men is secret self-battles. And to help us understand how that works in men is a special guest who's willing to invite us into his world of secrets. This is the second Trap Men edition. Welcome to Dichol Uncensored. So we have our guest with us today. I'm sure we are all eager to listen from him. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. It's so good to have you.
Wow.
The world must want to know who you are.
I'm Steve Omondi, Steve the Lion Omondi. I can say I am an entrepreneur. I am a teacher. I'm a writer. I'm the firstborn in a family of 4. Okay, I'm married to one very amazing woman.
Before we go to your lovely wife, lovely wifey, what are you passionate about teaching and doing business in? Okay,
what I'm passionate about, if I could put it in a nutshell, I'm passionate about helping people. Okay, I have lived for the past 27 years, and in my 27 years I have experienced a lot, I have seen a lot, and one of the things I've realized about myself is I love when people do not have to necessarily go through what I have gone through, what I have had to go through. So what I do is, if I have learned something that has helped me, I try to find a way of bringing it out to people in a way that will help them. That has been me ever since I was young to how I am today, be it in business, be it in ministry, be it in life in general. What I do is I take what I have learned and then I find a way to give it to people in a way that will help them, so that they do not have to necessarily go through what I went through in order to learn the same lesson.
So you're a trainer of life skills?
Yes, I can say that.
And you talked about ministries, like Ministry of Water, Ministry of Education. What ministry is this?
Okay, I'm born again. I have been born again, I can say actively born again for the past 5 years. I fellowship at Jubilee Christian Church Kisumu. Pastor Roger Seda is my dad. And in ministry, what I do is I'm a children's church teacher. I teach teens class. Teens class. I teach teens class, and basically what I try to do is to impart these young lives, because I believe that they are the next generation, and we really need to be very careful how we take them, how we actually handle them, because they are the ones that are actually going to be steering the world tomorrow.
When we are gone.
Yes.
Let's talk about your lovely wife. I mean, how did you get married? Steve, I know you from way back. Today you are married. Oh my God, how did that happen?
I met actually funny story. My wife and I went to the same primary school. Zavarian primary school. That's where we met. But then after a while, unfortunately, she left. Then we got we reconnected, I believe, in the year 2010 through a friend. I saw her, she saw me.
Boom, spark happened.
And they said that the rest is history. We dated for about 6 years.
6 years?
6 years.
No sex or yes sex?
No sex.
Okay, wow.
No sex. It's one of the things we actually really talked about at the beginning. We were like, if we want to do this, let's do this the right way. So we felt, engaging in sex would actually
ruin the beautiful thing,
complicate a lot of things, because the minute you introduce sex, it complicates a lot of things.
Everything changes. And now you wedded and got married. And we were talking off camera, and you're telling me something interesting, that 6 months after you're married, you do not have a house.
Yes.
Oh my God, just wedded and you don't have a place to stay.
Yes. What had happened was, at the time when we got married, I was actually not working. Okay, I was not working, and she was actually the one that was working. She was at that time the breadwinner of the house. And then in the month of March 2016, she got laid off from her job. By that time, we were just 3 months married, and everything was heavenly. And then now she gets laid off, and I remember the following day we looked at each other, and I was like, so what next? Because we have bills to pay, we have rent, we have water, we have electricity, we need to eat, we need to buy clothes, we need to do all this. Our house was empty, literally. Like, we used to have this joke that our sitting room was our prayer room, because there was nothing in there. The only things that we used to have in our living room were shoes. We had nothing.
Shoe rack.
Shoe rack. Not our actually.
Your living room was a shoe rack.
Was actually a shoe rack. So she got laid off. We tried for about 3 months, doing odd jobs here and there.
Like what?
I used to go to people's houses to wash clothes. I used to run errands. I used to run errands for people. There was a time I worked at a car wash. I used to wash cars, and all this time I was actually looking for a job, you know. But somehow it's like all jobs were closed. It's like they saw me and they ran away. You know, I was really looking for a job. I think a point reached where I became desperate. You know, I was like, you know what? I have a wife. I have a house. And there's this rule that we are told as men that the minute you move out of your mom's house, there's no going back. You know, there's no going back. So there was no way I could go back to my mom and tell her, hey, mom, me and my wife are coming. You know, so we just had to make it out, to make it on our own. So we tried it for about 3 months, but then after 3 months, things got so hard, the landlady kicked us out.
Wow. And then, so where did you go from there?
Well, we went from there. We spent the whole day packing, and I can promise you, as of 5 p.m., we did not know where we were going, you know. But then I just happened to call one of my brothers from the house called Geoffrey, and I told him, hey, bro, we have been kicked, we have been evicted from our house and have nowhere to go. So please, even if you can find a place for even my wife to stay. Me, I'm good. But you know, if you can find a place for my wife to stay, you know, as I'm still trying to figure this thing out, because it was a shock for me. It was the first time it had actually happened, you know. So eventually we found a place, our sister Priska, amazing woman. She actually took us in, both of us, and said, you know, you guys can stay with me for as long as you like.
Gave you a room?
She gave us a room in her house, and she said, you guys can stay here for as long as you want, as you're still trying to find your footing. So that's where we went, you know, after that.
Yeah. But I know that there was a point where, you know, you were living separate lives.
Yes.
I mean, you were living somewhere else and she was living somewhere else, and you'd only meet in church.
Yeah.
You're broke as hell mouse.
Yes.
And how was that?
Okay. How that came to be was a month after we stayed with Priska for about a month, but then we could see that she was straining, you know, because she was working, she had 2 kids, and she was really straining. Then at some point, some complications arose, and we just sat down with her and we talked to her, and you know, we just told her, please just allow us to move on. You know, you have really been of help to us, but we feel like it's time for us to move on. So at that point, we are telling her we want to, but we have nowhere to go. You know. Then at some point I called another brother in the house called Dennis. Dennis says, DJ Dream. DJ Dream. Yeah. So I called DJ Dream, and then I tell him, hey bro, I am stuck. It's really bad. Please, if you can find a way to help me, because now it's 6 p.m. and we still have nowhere to go. I've been trying to rack my brain the whole day. Where do I take my wife? So
you go to DJ Dream's place?
So I go to DJ Dream at first, and then he tells me that there's a sister here who has said she can put up your wife. You will stay with me, and then your wife can stay with this sister.
So you lived apart? We
lived apart.
How would you meet?
What would happen was, because both of us were jobless, what would happen is we'd wake up in the morning, we would meet kwa njia, would walk to church, would stay there because at that time we were serving full time. So we would meet, we would go to church, serve the whole day, and then in the evening I'd walk her to where she was staying, and then the most I could give her was a hug. The most I could give her, you know, so that things don't get awkward, you know. So the most I could give her was a hug, and I just said, I'll see you tomorrow.
So this went on for how long?
This went on for 5 months.
In this 5 months, you're my husband and wife. God has put you together, my brother. How was things just in Jesus' name?
You mean function at the junction?
Yes.
You mean action?
Yes.
I can honestly say it was tricky, you know. It was really tricky because now I could not do it at DJ Dream's house, of course, you know, out of respect, you know, and then also at the sister that she was staying with, we could not do it there. So
could you not do it at the church where you were hanging out the whole day?
I think our fear of God and for God did not also allow us, because we felt that would somehow defile the altar. Yeah. So, and also, what would happen if somebody caught us? So 5 months of just like that, living like brother and sister? No, you know, a few times God had our desperate cry. I had a cousin So at times when my cousin would travel out of town, like this happened around 4 times, he would travel out of town for like 2-3 days. I tell my wife, let's go for, I actually used to call it, let's go for honeymoon. So, you know, we would go there for honeymoon, 2 days, 3 days. I promise you, we would not leave the house. We would buy everything before we got in.
So that when you get in?
When we get in, no leaving.
Oh my God.
You know, so a few times we managed to do so. But I believe what really kept us was that we understood that this was not going to be permanent, you know, because our man of God, Pastor Rogers, I cannot thank God enough for that man. I cannot even begin. My mom, Pastor Mercy, I cannot begin to thank God enough. They were so gracious during this time. Imagine, they actually used to call us and just ask us, you know, you guys, how are you doing? Because we cannot even begin to understand what you guys are going through.
I mean, it's so intense.
You know, so how are you guys? There are times when we had no food, we would just be in church, you know, just looking at each other, and somehow food would just come, you know. It said that this has come from Pastor Rogers for Steve and Mercy. You know, this has come from Pastor Mercy for Steve and Mercy. You know, there are times when if he had some money, he would give us and say, and then he would tell me, please take my daughter out. She has not been taken out in a while. Please take my daughter out.
So cool.
You know, and it really, I believe their presence in our life helped us really go through that period.
Kept you going.
Kept us going.
And I know that after this period, you got a house. Is it a house or a room?
We got a room.
Yes.
A room. We got in the month of November. We got a room in Makasembo.
Yeah.
And at that time, the room I believe was going for 4,000.
Yes.
Now you know you're broke.
Yes.
When you hear 4,000, and to you it looks like $1 million.
Yes.
Like, how on earth am I going to raise 4,000 shillings to pay, you know, for this room?
Yes.
And when we got the house, I got a conviction in my heart.
Yeah.
You know, like God was saying, yes,
you know,
this is the house. This is the house. We had no money. We had nothing. We were so broke that there was a day I found 10 shillings in my wallet. We had worked the whole week.
Yes.
And then I found this 10 shillings in my wallet. I called her so that we could do revenue allocation.
For 10 shillings?
For 10 shillings.
10 Kenyan bob?
10 Kenyan shillings.
Yeah.
The first thing we did is we went and got shillings.
Oh my God.
And then we removed a shilling as tithe.
Oh no.
We put in an envelope and gave that one. Then I asked, okay, what do we do with these 9 shillings?
Okay, I'm not gonna cry.
You know,
wow.
It was really hard. There are times when we used to give pens as offering.
Wow.
In fact, there are times when I would serve, and then as I'm serving, I say, Lord, I don't have money,
this is my offering.
but my service today, this is my offering.
Hauna sadaka.
Hauna anything. Let me tell you, the first time somebody gave me money, I remember, gave me 50 shillings and told me, bro, please take this as transport. I went to the toilet to cry. I went to the loo to cry.
Much.
I felt like, Lord, what is this? I remember the first time somebody bought for us a plate of chips. One plate like this for us to share. It was so much. I mean, I remember us eating it slowly.
You know, when someone hears you talking, they'll think you've been broke forever.
Yeah.
What they don't know is that you and I grew up together, and I know you very well.
Yeah.
In our neighborhood, Steve's family was the richest. Like, they were the cool kids in our neighborhood. And now just to talk about how 10 shillings meant the world to him shocks me. You know?
Yeah.
And then how did you get through that? Oh, no, wait, before that, the house, the first night at the house.
Yeah.
This your Karungu fame, this your small house.
Yeah.
How did it feel?
Now, when we finally were able to raise money for our house, I remember us moving in, and after we got into the house, we sat down and we were like, hey, we have our own place. You know, we tried praying, it couldn't, you know, the emotions were too many.
I was so excited.
We didn't, by then I promise you, we did not sleep that night.
There were how many rooms that were that excited?
No, it was just one, 7 feet by 7 feet. Mabati.
You were so excited.
I was so excited. I was like, do you know, hey, this is, I mean, from now on, I could hold keys and say, I'm going to my own house.
Oh, Lord.
You know, it was 7 feet by 7 feet, but I could be proud enough to say, I'm going to my own house. You know, we didn't sleep that night. We just sat there looking at each other like, you know, this is unbelievable. You know, 6 months we had nothing. Now we can actually, you know, have a place to call our own. And the most beautiful part about it is that it's like entering that house is like open doors now. Because we entered that house in November. January, December, my wife got a job. Out of the blue, just imagine somebody called her and told her, we have a job for you, please come and start. In January, I got a job, you know. So now it was,
things were working out.
I mean, yeah.
And Steve, what do you think God was teaching you through this time? Because you are a faithful servant. You're always at church. You're in full-time ministry. Why would God let this to happen to you? You go hungry. You have no place to have intimacy. You just got married. What lesson do you think God was teaching you through this process?
Thank you for that question. The truth is that I believe God has a very big call over not just my life, but the life of my wife. And the reason for that is, you see, when somebody gets called, you just don't get called and then you get appointed immediately. Okay? When Jesus after he had been baptized, the Bible says that he went to the wilderness for how many days? 40 days. And for 40 days he was tested. Okay? After David got anointed, that's when his troubles began. You know? So the minute you have been called of God, the first thing that God has to do is he knows that in the state in which you are, you cannot achieve.
You're still raw.
You're still raw. Okay? So he has to take you through the painful process where all the
material stuff,
actually call them proclivities that you have. Those two small things that you know, that pride, greed, selfish ambition, he has to take all of them out. And the greatest way in which he does this is he takes you from where you are and gets you to the place where you have nothing.
Gets you naked.
Naked before him, so that you have nothing to hide. Nowadays, I cannot look at somebody and despise them. I cannot look at somebody and say that, you know what, you have nothing. And I used to be like that, by the way. Like you've said, kids. You know, the cool kids, cool kids of the block, you know. I used to actually look at people around me and I'm like, Maze, these guys are suffering. See revelation, you know, ipande. Now God took me there. He took me to that place where those people are. And then he took me lower than they were. So that now, whenever I look at somebody, I do not look at them for who they are. I look at them for who they can be.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really powerful. And I'm just thinking about your wife. A lot of young people during this time, young girls would not spare a day to hang out with you in this kind of craziness. What is it about your wife that she's stood by you? Wow,
Mercy is just amazing. There was a day I actually asked her when now things were really, really hot, you know, things were really hard. And then I just told her, baby, by the way, if you feel like going, I will not hold it against you. Please, just go. I will not hold it against you. You know, I mean, if I could leave myself, I would. But then I can't, you know. So if you would leave, I will not hold it against you. But then she told me that I am sticking by you. Hata kama ni kulala nje, tunalala nje na wewe. Even if we'll be out in the rain, I will be out in the rain with you. To this day, I cannot tell you what is it that made her stay. Maybe she can tell you that story. But I cannot tell you what made her stay. I am still in awe until today. I look at her nowadays, you know, I look at her, I see the woman she's growing into, and I still cannot believe that for 6 months, this woman allowed me, who had taken her from her father's house, where there was a fridge that was full, there were cars kwa garage, kulikuwa na stima, and then I take her to living kwa gata.
Wow.
I take her to living kwa gata, and she stayed. She did, by the way, I promise you, my wife did not disrespect me for one day.
Wow.
When I was jobless and had nothing, she did not disrespect. In fact, she used to get angry at people that used to look down upon me. She would tell them, my friend, watch this space. This man, this man that you are looking down upon, see him in 10 years. Then you will talk.
What a woman.
I tell you. Hapo Winnie nilijishindia. Hapo nilijishindia hapo.
Oh my bro.
Hapo nilijishindia.
I'm so envious that you see I'm a woman now. Take another woman.
Hapo nilijishindia.
So at this point, you know, you going through all this, I feel like you're alone. Where was your family during this time?
My family, First of all, let me say that I have the most amazing family ever. I mean, my brother, my two sisters, and my parents. I can actually say that I am who I am today because I actually got raised by them. But the challenge is that growing up, I had my own issues which were not really dealt with. And because of that, a point reached where we had a very bad fallout. You know, we had a really, really bad fallout where we were actually not talking. And one of the major things that actually led to this was actually the time when I got sodomized.
So you were sodomized?
Yes, I was.
Wow, that's actually male version of rape.
Of rape, yes. So I can actually say I was raped.
Wow. So on that note, yeah, clearly, I don't even know how to say this. You have to stay with us on the next episode. I can't wait to hear how this went down.